You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
feeling fresh as hell.
Well, you guys better enjoy it. The fans loved it.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin Herbert.
On the move and throws and touchdown.
Do this together. Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Will Dugson, with my buddy, Kev Huggin Duggan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
You
freaking
slept
morning.
the whole night through. Good morning.
Hey, speak
Don't
for yourself.
stop me. For you and you and you and you. Sorry.
Let's not forget Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
All right, last week I had a mug that was grumpy old man. This week,
Super
Dad.
Well done.
speaking positive, I did grumpy old man, and last Sunday afternoon I was a grumpy old man. So this week I'm going super dad because we're gonna beat up on these Titans.
Attaboy.
He
That's what I
totally
like to
redeems
hear.
himself.
All right, folks. Well, it's our Friday episode. We've got plenty to talk about. We've got a Craig experience and a Bolt beat lined up for you. But let's start off here up at the top. I know, folks, it's hard to be shamelessly positive in these dark times after 1 week of game. But
We do our best.
we do our best, and so do thepowderblues.com, bringing up a tweet here. Herbert is 19-4 when the defense allows less than 28 points.
So, guys, when
It's
we're
the
looking at
magic
the
number.
scoreboard, just don't get to 28, the opponent. That's
Yeah.
all we really need to worry about moving forward. Like, as long as they're not hitting 28, we're fine.
Yeah.
If they score a touchdown early, relax. It's 7.
It's okay.
It's not 28.
It's 7.
You don't get 28 points for one
Yeah,
touchdown.
If they score 2, it's fine.
It's 14. It's still not 28.
a little bit less cool, but it's still okay.
But we're okay.
Once you get to 21, you got to start worrying. But
Right.
let's-
That's when the bullets
yeah, exactly.
come out. So now, just an interesting stat to take a look at there. Looking at the Charger players, Daniel Popper tweeted out that linebacker Deion Henley is back at individual drills.
Is he going to be our saving grace for the secondary and this linebacker core, like dropping into coverage, batting down balls, everything he did in the preseason? Like, we want that.
I know. I don't know. It's going to be hard for me to say that he's already linebacker number 3 when he's linebacker number 5 in reality. You know, like
Yeah.
Nick Neiman and like is linebacker 3. So if you were to see it change, I think that's the guy. And I honestly, the more I've thought about last game, I don't know if Derwin James at a high safety feels like a waste. It just feels like we're wasting everything about Derwin James by putting him 12 yards away from the football. How many times did they throw the ball deep in that game?
Yep, it's true.
And deep to the middle of the field. The only time they threw the deep was on the sideline. He can't get there anyway. So he's just not having an impact. So that's what I'm saying is just run a one linebacker set and let Derwin just fly around and be in the box and just get creative with one guy. Everyone else's job super easy. Let the one guy get creative. Because have him come down and why can't he be the star? Everyone talks about how great he is in coverage and how physical he is. And he runs with Keenan. And Keenan, I would say, would be one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. So I don't know. The more I've thought about it, I don't know if another linebacker is the solution. I think Deion will be the guy moving forward once Kenneth Murray's contract is up. But for me, I feel like Derwin James needs to be a linebacker a lot more than he is. Just run him with Eric Kendricks and let it rock and roll.
Well, I hope you're listening, Mr. Staley. Let's ring out a new look this Sunday.
That's just my thoughts. I'm not a head coach in the NFL / defensive coordinator for the number 1 defense in the NFL at one point.
Well, it'll be good to see Deion Henley come back. He's just back at individual drills, not necessarily pointing to him playing this Sunday, but hey, we can dream, can't we?
We sure can.
And speaking of Derwin James, Chargers Central tweeted out Derwin James on what response the secondary will have in week 2 against the Titans. Said, wait until Sunday.
Oh,
Just wait.
I want to feel the confidence from the players. Like we weren't feeling any confidence from anyone from our team after that loss.
Yeah.
So now that they're kind of like they've evaluated what happened, we're gonna get this fixed because this thing can get fixed. These guys are awesome. We have great players. It's just let's scheme it up the right way and let's go break some titans.
We also did run into a chainsaw of an offense that we hadn't seen yet this year.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that was the first game, whether we played in the preseason or not, you're still like figuring stuff out and getting back in the rhythm. And like the more I've thought about it, the first week is the hardest. You have no tape on what anyone's doing. And no, we had last year's, but you think they're coming out and running the same stuff.
They didn't.
You're sadly mistaken. So
yeah.
I think a lot of it was we played probably a top 5 offense in the NFL week 1. And Tua had an incredible game. Just it is what it is. So we're gonna right the ship. It'll get fixed. It'll get turned around. I'm confident.
Well, and Staley's great at preparation. Like he's had great games where he's prepared and got the guys in the right position and everything. So many times as our head coach and as our defensive coordinator, I think he just needs more tape. And I'm not trying to be, it's okay. Staley's going to be absolutely perfect moving forward. But honestly, week 1 and they were showing all the different motions that Tyreek Hill was doing, and it was like arena football level of motioning. It's just we got caught with our pants down essentially on Sunday, and we still almost won. So be confident, it's gonna be okay.
It'll be all right. Looking over at the practice, we got some quotes here from some of the coaches and players. Justin Herbert on Sunday's performance said, "We didn't win. That's up to us to put up more points, do a better job, and take advantage of those opportunities when we get them. I thought there were some really good things that we did offensively. There's still room for improvement and still things to correct. Running the ball, I thought we did a great job of moving the ball down the field. I'm looking forward to building on that momentum."
So jumping ahead a little bit, what are your thoughts on like your confidence level if Austin can't go with Kelly and the backup? Like, what are your thoughts on a running game if he's not able to go?
I can't say that I'm over the moon excited about it, but I think after last week's performance from Josh Kelly, knowing that he's still healthy, I'm a lot more confident. It will be interesting to see. We had all that drama in the offseason with Eckler almost leaving. We're going to get a glimpse of what life would have looked like post Eckler if somebody would have bit on that trade.
Right. That's a good point.
Who will be the guy that gets pulled up? Is it Isaiah? Because Isaiah was a healthy scratch last week.
Or is it
did Dotson just get it because of special team ability? It'll be. I think Isaiah has got to be the number 2 guy. If
he can't go, it feels like Kelly Spiller 1-2 punch, and then you're going to reactivate Dotson again just to have him there ready to go. But
yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't now. If
you'd have all 3. Week. Yeah,
it just makes you question why Spiller has been the healthy scratch. Like, what is it that they have seen that we haven't that has made them think that he's not ready to go?
The only thing I can think of is that his running style is too similar to Eckler, and they want to have more of a change. Josh Kelly runs mean. He's real mean right now. He gets downhill and runs people over. So maybe that's the thought is like, we have that guy that could catch the ball out of the backfield and runs a little shifty. Whereas that's the only thing I can think of, because I don't understand why Spiller has been scratched more than not in his NFL career so far.
That's what I mean.
And we've not seen anything that like bad, like blatantly fumbles or just terrible play. Like, so unless he just doesn't show up to practice and he's just going through the motions and they're like, dude, figure it out. I have no idea why.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, we saw performance in preseason and made me think, cool, we're going to see some Spiller this year, and we just have not seen it, and don't know why. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the running back room for sure, and we'll get to the injury report as to why we're talking about Mr. Eckler. But Justin Herbert on the offensive unit said, I think that's the great thing about our offense is that we have so many weapons. I think just having people out there that make plays, that take the pressure away, having a run game and having guys to throw the ball on the outside with Keenan, Quentin Johnston, Mike Williams, and Josh Palmer. They've done such an incredible job that my job is just to get them the ball in space and let them do their cool things.
Like he said, cool things. Cool. Yeah. Let them do cool things.
Let them do their cool things. Come on. Let's see. And then we also have Coach Staley, who said, we have a good game plan. My hat's off to Brendan Nugent, the Chargers assistant offensive line coach, Sean Surratt, and Chargers running back coach Derek Foster, and the group of guys. It was quality plan, and then our runners ran really hard in that game, broke a lot of tackles. It was a team effort.
That's the big shining positive to last Sunday. So hopefully we're about to run into a buzzsaw of a defensive, stopping the run. So if we can still be productive in that space after this, we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And then they also looks like they interviewed J.C. Jackson and talked to him. And his quote was, "I'm working back into it. I'm not 100%, but I'm working my way to 100%. It's a long season, man. That's week 1. We've got a whole season ahead of us. My goal is to try and stay healthy throughout the whole season, not just one game." So right there, he's already saying I'm not 100%.
He's lying, though, because he was 100%. He told us before the game that he was 100%.
Well, he didn't tell me. Maybe he told you.
But he came out in an interview and said, there's nothing holding me back.
No, he did. And I do remember that interview, yeah.
So now it feels a little bit like that pass interference at the end of the first half that gave him 3 points and they won by 2. I just got to get going again. That's a bonehead move.
Well, maybe he's not talking about health. Maybe he's not talking about health. Maybe he's talking about being 100% football. Maybe he's not talking about health.
There is another quote here from J.C. Jackson on his mistakes, on his boneheadedness, one might say. Said, "That was a bad mistake by me. I take full blame for that. I should have been paying attention to the clock and everything else. I was just playing football. Coach always talks about situational football, and I have to know what situation we were in."
And he was talking about that pass interference before the half.
Yeah. So that boneheaded mistake.
If I'm not mistaken, they had no timeouts, right?
None.
Yeah.
So they just let him catch it, and the half's over.
Yep.
He wanted
That's
that
why
pick, Mr. INT.
I listened to Matt Money Smith again, his podcast. He just went off again on how that was the dumbest penalty he's seen. And it makes sense. Like, you handed them 3 points, literally on a silver platter.
JC's going to pick Tannehill twice. He just has to have a bounce back game. He has
one of them back to one of them to the house. Yeah.
I need
As a fan base, we need it to really love him again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just good to see that he understands. It was a mistake. He's got to be better. And Jackson also notched his first interception, but put the Bolts on their own 4-yard line. He said, "I should have took a knee and should have took a knee now that I look back on it." Hindsight's 2020.
But I think there's a certain element to that 100%. Like, he's just fucking excited to be out there.
Yeah.
He's excited to play football. That was a dumb play where he got in the way. He was going.
They're like rookie mistakes. You have a rookie out there that's like, oh God, it's just the NFL.
It's like a puppy with all this energy. Like, my knee works again. Yay! And he's just like pushing people, trying to get interceptions, gets his interceptions. I'm taking this to the house. Like,
he went full golden retriever on that.
Full golden retriever. Just
relax.
Breath. Yeah. You come back out, second game. Hey, do that stuff with some relaxation and don't get burned by Tyreek Hill that doesn't exist on this team we're about to play this week. We'll be
exactly. So, all good quotes, all good things to look forward to.
We still trust you, JC. We believe you.
Let's go, buddy.
Yeah. Bounce back, baby. So, looking at the injury report, some concerns we saw because we thought we got out of that game pretty
unscathed.
Yeah, unscathed, pretty fresh. Turns out Joey Bosa is dealing with a hamstring injury. He hasn't practiced Wednesday or Thursday. Austin Eckler popped up with an ankle injury of some kind. He hasn't practiced Wednesday or Thursday either. Really, the only bright spot was Deion Henley getting limited practice in on his hamstring. Eric Kendricks also showed up dealing with a hamstring.
But his is different. Sorry.
Yeah, he's hamstring, and he also had a personal reason.
Non-injury related personal.
Yes.
So I wonder what that means. I hope everything's
well.
Okay
I thought Austin Eckler also had a personal one as well, because I thought I heard that his agent passed away.
Yeah,
so he took that one pretty personally. Maybe Eric Kendricks might have had the same agent. I don't think it was. I think it's something else. I didn't see anything reported on that. I just hopefully he comes back to practice Friday and ready to go. But coach has always been like, if you're not practicing through the week, are you going to be ready to go for the game? Sure.
So God, we need Eric Kendricks to stop this Tennessee running back. We all know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So please come back, practice. We're recording really early Friday. come practice today, please, Eric.
Please. And then outside linebacker Chris Rumpf also getting some limited practices in dealing with his hamstring injury. So not the worst injury report we've seen for the Chargers, but certainly one that kind of surprised us after that game, thinking that we were doing okay as far as injuries were concerned.
I'm just worried about Joey, man. Somebody pulled up the clip where he kind of tweaked his hammy. He was going hard around the edge trying to get to
I'm sure he was frustrated. Yeah.
Came up a little limp. It didn't look like he was struggling to get off the field. It was just a little limp. I just think they're really trying to keep us as healthy as long as possible, and they're giving him rest. Because hamstrings, you're not going to warm that thing up. You're not going to stretch that thing out. You just need to let it rest and heal. So hopefully he gets a limited Friday and then can go, probably on a pitch count on Sunday.
Yeah,
Fingers are crossed.
It's hard seeing the transactions that they're pulling right here. They signed another running back to our practice squad.
Right.
And we signed a outside linebacker, like pass rusher, back to our practice squad.
Shelby,
that doesn't give me the most incredible confidence in what's going on with these dudes.
Hopefully that's just a break glass in case of emergency type signing, but we will have to wait and see if that ends up being the case. Looking at our opponents this next Sunday, the Tennessee Titans, they lost last week as well by 1 point. That was a close one for them, 15-16 to the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr had himself a bit of a day, had 305 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, but he got sacked 4 times.
Before we go into more of the details, Kyle, you guys brought up an interesting fact that the Titans didn't score a touchdown last week.
Yeah,
it was
five field goals.
All field goals.
Yeah.
So their offense clearly wasn't able to get anything going. So it'll be interesting to see. This is literally the opposite of what we just played. It could not be a different offense than what we just played.
Yeah, and I'd listen to Locked On Chargers podcast. They do a crossover every week, and they do it with the Locked On of the opposing team. And the guy for the Titans, the Locked On Titans podcast, said for some reason they had Derrick Henry going, and then they just took away all of his snaps. Tyjae Spears got a ton of snaps in the second half, and it's not as if they were getting steamrolled and they couldn't run the ball. He had an opinion that they're trying to become more of a well-rounded offense that's not completely dependent on Derrick Henry. With him being in the last year of his contract, being a little bit older, they're trying to become more of a we don't just run the ball type of team. Now, after last week, they may go back to that because they only scored 15 points and no touchdowns. But an interesting thing to note to see how often Tyjae Spears is in at running back as opposed to Derrick Henry.
They only had 285 yards of offense total.
Passing they only rushed for 104 total, which is not the usual for a Tennessee Titans team. Now, the Saints do have a really good defense.
Yeah.
But that's even against good defense, they usually rush for 200 yards.
Yeah. So, a lot of good points. It'll be very interesting to see how it all shakes out. I mean, Tannehill threw 3 interceptions, so there's your opportunity, J.C. Jackson.
Let's
come
go,
in
JC.
there and grab a couple for yourself.
He was also sacked 3 times, too.
Yeah, so come on. We got to...
I feel like this might be a Thule Mac game if Bosa can't go.
This is just such a weird matchup because it's a Titans offense that had a piss poor performance in the first game and a Chargers defense that had a piss poor performance in the first game. So it's like, which of those two is going to step up and have a actually play week 2? I think our offense is going to do what our offense is going to do, and their defense is really good. So that's going to be a battle when those two teams are on the field. But when it's our defense against their offense, that's going to be the whole game to me.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when those guys are on the field?
Totally.
100%. Then looking over at Tennessee's injury report, let's see, they've got a few guys. They've got more guys listed, but they've also got some full practices on there. Trey Avery, their cornerback, got a full practice in. Wide receiver Treylon Burks got a full practice in. Cornerback Christian Fulton limited. Safety Amani Hooker did not practice, dealing with a concussion. Wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, the big signing for their offseason, dealing with an ankle injury, did not practice.
We're probably not going to have to deal with DeAndre this week, is from what I'm hearing around Twitter.
Looking like
he's
it.
Probably not going to play. So that makes it a bit easier on the secondary. You don't have to deal with Hopkins.
Yeah. Offensive lineman Dylan Reduns got a full practice. The Tyjae Spears, Kyle was just talking about, got a full practice in. And defensive lineman Tier Tart.
That's a great name.
Practice in, yes.
He does have a good name. Amani Hooker, too, the concussion, he's not playing. Vrabel, from the podcast of those two, he said that Vrabel, he does not. He plays those so conservatively. You're not playing if you're in concussion protocol. So that's their starting safety that's going to be down as well. Now, it's the NFL. The next guy to step up could be better. He was just licking his chops, waiting for an opportunity.
Right.
Sure.
We saw that on Sunday. They had 3 of their studs out, and they still came out and put up a great performance. So that's not to say everything, but that's just kind of the matchups to look for. I think is they're gonna, with DeAndre Hopkins out, if he doesn't play, expect a whole lot of Derrick Henry coming right downhill at you. So
right down Broadway.
The Chargers, we got to open this thing up. If they're down their starting safety, potentially their starting cornerback, you have to open things up and let Herbert fling the ball around a little bit more than he did on Sunday.
We'll find out, but you can fling yourself over to our Patreon, patreon.com/ChargerChat. Check out all the funny videos we got over there. We just posted our video,
week one adventure.
Our week one adventure.
It was a doozy.
We've got a Hot Ones video coming up. And for those that are in the Fantasy Football League, I just got the swag. I've got the hat.
Oh, look at that shirt.
And I've got the shirt.
Oh, wow.
Very nice. They're hot off the press.
Very hot.
So keep an eye out for those of you in the Fantasy Football League. They're coming. Oh, Lord, they coming. So, and if you don't want to go over to patreon.com/ChargerChat, that's totally fine. You can go on over to our regular website, chargerchat.com. Check out all the cool stuff we got over there, t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers. You can chat it up with other Charger Chatteteers in the member section and ask questions in Ask Bold Fam, so go check out chargerchat.com. If you ever thought, why the heck is my wireless bill so dang high, then let me tell you about Mint Mobile, who we're partnering with for today's episode. You might already know Mint Mobile if you've seen those funny ads from Ryan Reynolds, who's also an owner, but let me quickly tell you about how awesome their service is. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out all the retail stores and the salespeople and things like that. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? It's a good question. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code if you're interested in the best value in wireless. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Now, I've used Mint Mobile, and I gotta say, everything that they've talked about as far as switching over being extremely easy is 100% true. It was a super easy process, and then once I was switched over, I honestly didn't notice a difference in my performance. You know, all the apps that I typically used, like Twitter and YouTube and things like that, ran exactly the same as they normally did on my previous carrier. Like I said, switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to their digital eSIM cards, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your own home. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, that's totally fine. Mint Mobile will ship you a new SIM card for free. It only takes about 15 minutes to switch, and Mint Mobile has great customer service if you need help. And right now, as a special limited time offer, you can get their unlimited plan, which is normally $30 a month, for just $15 a month. That's a 50% savings off their already super low price. It only takes 15 minutes to pay as low as $15 a month for your phone plan. It really is that simple. Use our link mintmobile.com/chargerchat to get started, or click the link down in the description or scan our QR code. It really helps out the channel. And if you've already made the switch to Mint Mobile, let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear about your experience with them. Thank you, Mint Mobile, for being our partner for this episode. Now back to the show. All right, gang, time to go on to the next segment. You know them, you love them. It's a great experience.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Come on in, man. Kick your feet up.
Oh.
Craig Experience.
Hello there.
Make yourself at home. Got some stuff to talk about, right? Moving on.
I mean, some people just think cucumbers taste better pickled. Huh? What? Don't worry about it. Oh, hey, I gotta go. Talk to you later. Bye. What's up, folks? After an intense week of wound licking, I'm back, along with you, and ready to talk some week 2 action because, yeah, we gotta soldier on and look forward to the path ahead of us. Hopefully a more victorious one after last week's shenanigans. And we got to chat a little bit about some of the things that weren't so great, but mostly we're going to take away what was positive from it and what can be applied against the Titans and how the Chargers can get their first W of the season, evening up that record and giving us some more hope. So without further ado, let's get into it. CC gang, the biggest of salutes into the rest of the boat fam. What is going on? It's your guy Craig in Texas, and welcome to this week 2 edition of the Craig Experience. It's been roughly a week now. No need to get back into all the happenings. You've heard all the breakdowns. You've heard everyone's belly aching and griping, and with good reason. There was a lot to be pissed off about. But ultimately, what good is that going to do you? You can become a jaded Chargers fan, and then at that point, nobody really wants to be associated with you. They just kind of put up with you because, look, I'm a realist, and I'm not going to mince words about much of anything at all. But I do understand that if you love something or someone, in certain cases, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Ultimately, until they show you that there's no more hope, and I am not there with this team. You could argue that they've given you multiple reasons to feel that way, but you really can't get beyond the fact that they're super uber talented. And at some point, you just hold on to the hope that they're going to get right at some point. And that's where I am. So with that said, let's get the bad stuff out of the way. Defensively, got to do better. Bunch of people out there have their pitchforks out for Brandon Staley, and the way I look at it is like this. He's still a head coach, and I know that you guys, many folks out there, want his head on the stake. They want the Chargers to give him his pink slip, but that's not what this organization does. They don't make it a practice of firing coaches before their contracts are up because they don't want to have a guy on the books that doesn't work for them anymore. It's not the Charger way, not historically. It's not something they've done frequently in the past. But I will say this. The heat that he's catching is in fact warranted. It's been 3 years now. Year 1 had to make some adjustments. Team had to adapt to the new defense. Got it. And also you didn't have all the requisite pieces. You felt like you needed to run said defense. Then comes year 2. You're building the team up a bit more. Get some names like J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack. You deal with another rash of injuries. Team doesn't necessarily perform up to snuff. You do make the playoffs though, so there's improvement there. And we know how the playoff run ended. Well, kind of wasn't really a run. One game and, the rest. It's history. And now we're in year 3. And you kind of bookended it by a bit of a heartbreaking loss in week 1. But the flip side to that is that the Chargers offense looked very good. Well, at least the running game. Passing game was a little weird, but to see the running game be as dominant as it was is very, very encouraging. Especially coming off of, the last few years that we've seen the Chargers perform or their lack of performance in the run game. Josh Kelly looked like a more than capable RB2. Hell, he looked like a co-RB1 in the mix with Austin Eckler there, and he kind of had to take on a little bit more of the load later in the game because Austin had an ankle injury, which, by the way, he hasn't practiced yet this week. There is a chance that he may not play this weekend. He's also, dealt a tragedy in the passing of his agent and friend. So there's a lot going on there. His status for Sunday's game is a little up in the air. We'll know more, I guess, closer to the end of the week. Well, it's Friday, so we'll know something very soon. But, the fact that the Chargers rushed for over 200 yards in a game was something to be very, very happy about, especially if you're a guy like me who is an old school football fanatic that loves the ground and pound. With the pass sprinkled in, So, for me, in recent years, well, actually over the last decade or so, that air it out football has become a very real thing. It's kind of had to take a back seat to the way the game has evolved. So I've just accepted it. But man, anytime you can see a team come out and really smash the ball, or play smash mouth football rather, and cherry on top is if they have a very good defense, then that's it for me. I'd be satisfied with that. We don't quite have that. We could potentially have it in a running game. Do I believe we have the defense to be one of the best in the NFL? That's still up for question. It's debatable. Is it really debatable? I mean, you watched the end of last season and the defense really started to come on. Even with the injuries, they started to play a lot better because the defense seemed to have been simplified. But also you have to keep in mind that the Chargers' level of competition kind of tapered off toward the end of the season, so that may have played a part in things. But once again, new year, and we have to take what we have now. Also don't believe that they're going to run into quite the buzzsaw they did with the Dolphins, at least not for a very long time, because there's no other offense in the NFL quite like that. We're talking like Olympic 4x1 track speed they had to deal with, whether it be at the running back position, the wide receiver with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, a couple of other speedsters. And give to a credit. He dealt the ball rather well. Now, he wasn't perfect by a long shot. I mean, the dude had almost, 4 possible turnovers? At least 3. There was the pick. There was the 2 fumbles under center, one that apparently didn't count, but still in all, far from perfect. Unless you talk to Dolphins fans, and it's like none of that other crap ever happened. And then there were some very severely underthrown balls, but we've seen that on practice film and everything. So nobody's shocked by that. But nevertheless, the dude threw for almost 500 yards. Which, saying again out loud, against this Chargers defense after the performance they had against him last year is crazy. But I tell you what, this is what I understand. From an offensive standpoint, again, leading back to the positive of that, going into Tennessee this week, the Chargers have an opportunity to, possibly get things back on the rails. And do I think it's going to be a starkly different game plan than it was against the Dolphins? I'm not going to say it'll be like extremely different. I don't necessarily think they'll have as much success running the ball against the Titans as they did the Dolphins. The Dolphins are no slouch up front, but neither are the Titans. But I think the Titans are a bit more sound in their run defense. The Chargers should have an advantage passing the ball, though, because the Titans secondary is, what's a nice way to put this? It's questionable. I don't want to poo-poo on those dudes because still have to get out there and play the game. Teams built on paper mean absolutely nothing. You have to go on the field between the lines and perform. But if there were ever a time for the Chargers to get right and feel better about themselves, this would be the week. Now, the funny thing about it is that's speaking to the team as a whole. The offense last week was mostly fine. Like I said, the passing game was a little herky-jerky, but it wasn't bad. And the offensive line played tremendously. The running backs, already spoke about that. Receivers, would like to see some more of your first-round draft pick be involved. And Darius Davis's speed could be utilized down the field to open up some stuff underneath. That would all be awesome. Would love to see a little bit more of that. But I guess when your team's rushing for over 200 yards and like literally every handoff is like 5 to 6 yards a clip, hey, who am I to stop you? But you want to see the offense continue to evolve. Everybody's super excited about Kellen Moore and what he could mean to the offense. And you want to see Justin Herbert be able to air it out some more. You didn't necessarily see a ton of that last week, but some of that was game plan specific. It just kind of is what it is. The defense has to hold up their end of the bargain is the issue. And once again, Brandon Staley's head is firmly on the chopping block with a lot of the fan base, and I completely understand why. We just need you guys to show up and have an average performance. Don't let Derrick Henry come out there and run wild. They've also got Tyjae Spears, who, believe it or not, outsnapped Derrick Henry last week in their game against the Saints. Wild, right? But Tyjae Spears was actually my RB2 in this last draft cycle, so I'm not surprised. Kid who went to Tulane from Louisiana, Louisiana kid, so I know a little bit about him. And he's a really good player. And I expect him to be utilized in the passing game as a pretty good runner this weekend when the Chargers head to Nashville. So what am I talking about here as far as expectations are concerned? I expect the offense to perform well. As far as the defense is concerned, my only expectation is that they won't be the reason the Chargers were to lose the game if they lose. That's my expectation. Craig, does that even make any sense? Because what other reason would they have to lose the game? Because you can't necessarily see the offense if they perform up to snuff again this week being the reason why the Chargers, fail to walk away with the W. And that's, it's a good question. It would have to be special teams. I'm not predicting that happens either. Look, at this point, I'm just rambling. This is what I truly, truly feel. I think the offense is going to be fine. I think special teams is going to be fine. Dicker is showing that he is the guy. He should have been the guy, and this is why they made the selection that they did. It'd be nice to get a return or two off, but fingers crossed there. Just want the defense to be average. If this Chargers defense plays average football, then they should be one of the top teams in the league. If you have just a middle of the road, just above middle of the road defense, that's an absolute playoff team. With this type of offense, no question. But therein lies the problem. You have to get some level of consistency on the defensive side of the ball. Any recommendations? Because, it's easy to complain about the problem. What's the solution, right? I think they need to simplify the defense. Much the way they did when they played the Dolphins last year when there was no Derwin, no Joey, some other names. Don't have the guys thinking as much as they have to within that defense because it can be a complicated scheme. We all know that. They've talked about it. Put Derwin in the box a bit more. Let him play where he's strongest. Attacking everything on the inside. If you want to put him on like a Chiggy Okonkwo in the event that, he starts playing, getting loose a bit, fine. But other than that, I want Derwin in the box. I want my Derwin in the box. Put Trey Bien in the box. Let him blitz. Let him be an asset against the run game. Give Ryan Tannehill or whoever the hell they put behind center this week, because Ryan looked whoo-wee stinky last week, to say the least. Let him terrorize the box. And in the event, something happens where the top gets busted off of the top of the defense and you have to put him back there, then cool. But let that be your secondary placement of him. Allow him to lurk where he's most effective. And I think the Chargers are equipped to man up with the Titans on the outside. DeAndre Hopkins is a Tennessee Titan. And go figure, after that game with Ryan Tannehill, that you think back to his comment about where he wanted to go this offseason into a team with a high-level quarterback, and look what he ended up with. The polar opposite. Last week was any indication of the mistake he may have made, then God bless you, man. You definitely took the money over anything else, but that's your problem. He was a little banged up. Think he had an ankle situation. I'm just going to assume he goes. Treylon Burks, who I was a big fan of a couple years ago in that draft cycle's there. I mentioned Chiggy Okonkwo, who's a ascending tight end. And of course, King Henry back there. But as far as the skill positions go on the outside and receivers, I think the Chargers can man up with those guys with Vato and JC Jackson. God, JC, please have a better week. Please, my man. Get some redemption. Other than that, they should be able to match up pretty well with the Titans. The style of defense the Chargers want to play, probably aligns better with what they're facing this week as opposed to what they did last week. If you run into the Dolphins, though, in the playoffs later on down the line, which I think is a very strong possibility, let's revisit that 2022 game plan, shall we? I know that they added a couple wrinkles with motioning Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, which got them some free releases. I get all of that. But you have to be able to adjust. You can't just have a plan A, and when that doesn't work, just continue to bang your head against the wall. Think life works like that at all in general. So definitely not in football. Anyway, that's it for me. Oh, outside of the score prediction. See if I can have better luck with it this week, because I definitely didn't see an all-out shootout coming. I'm going to go slightly lower scoring with this one. I say the Chargers don't have to put up big numbers because the Titans offense isn't like that. And I'm saying that based off of how the Chargers defense played last week, so it almost seems foolish, but not going to do that. This week, I have the Chargers winning 24-17. Don't call me. But yeah, hopefully when we revisit this next week, we'll be on the winning side of things. So till the next time, I appreciate you guys. Y'all know who it is, Mr. Bolt Gang. Or Do Not Bang, aka TOP_FLYT3 over on Twitter. And yeah, per usual, you can catch me co-host on the Lightning Round podcast. So check us out over there. And once again, appreciate you guys. See you later. Let's go get this dub on Sunday. Okay? Love you. Bye.
Well, Kyle, I
I'm
think
so ready. It got me fired up.
I think you and Craig are on the same page talking about bringing Derwin down in the box. Like, whoa.
Yeah, he felt, I don't know, like I agree with Craig. He just felt like he wasn't really in the game last week. You can avoid him when he's back there 10, 12 yards. Whereas you put him in the box, there's no getting around him. I mean, the couple times that we did, he had a tackle for a loss because he's just faster than everyone down there in the box. So,
and more
get him
WWF slams. In the box, you get more WWF slams. You're not getting that out 30 yards deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Craig, I appreciate everything you said in that. Like that was
great.
That was really well spoken. That was really just put everything into words that I've been thinking that I can't put into words myself. Like,
are you going to bitch about the problem or are you going to try and find a solution?
Right. Like,
let's try and find a solution.
We like the frustration is understandable 100%. But like, if all you're going to do is whine on X, then I mean, I don't want to hang, man. Like, that's not for me. That's not, and it's not for anybody else. Like, nobody wants to hang with somebody that's just griping all the time. So it's like, what are you going to do about it? So just bring that energy to the game. Like, just shout it out, man. Like that's what's going to help. Or just
let it out.
Team.
Let it out on Sunday. Get all of the frustration out.
Get it out.
And then the rest
move
of the week,
on.
move on.
Yeah.
Well, and don't be. We've had. X has been a real pain in the ass this week and not fun at all. And
I think
people
you're
need
on X too much, Kev.
I am. I'm going to back off a little bit. But here, I just want to put it in a real world perspective. Imagine you walk into a cafeteria full of people that all love the same thing you love. And you walk in, you stand on a table and say, screw you guys. This is the worst thing ever. F you, F you, F you. Somebody's going to say something to you if you do that on top of the table. So don't be surprised if you get somebody being like, dude, chill. Like, why are you being such a dick?
Yeah.
Just don't be prepared for that. And they're probably going to tell you to shut the fuck up and get the fuck out. That's just what's going to happen. Right. So don't be shocked. And it's the same thing. The other thing, you walk in, it's a cloudy day and you're all walking in all like Brady Bunch. People are going to tell you to get the fuck out. So it's just find that middle ground. But especially like the people standing on table, like yelling at everyone, just stop. We all know what happened. It's not helping anyone by you repeating it with your negative shit.
Well, did you know where we rank defensively since Brandon Staley took over? Because you probably don't. So I'm going to
I do actually. No, but please tell me again. I'd love to hear more about how you feel about it.
Yeah.
So
I like Brady Bunch.
Can't we just be friends, okay? And stop yelling at each other and telling each other what to do and how to do it.
I don't think we have to be friends. I think we can just block those people and
Kyle doesn't have any time in the day for any bullshit.
Dude, I have no time in the day for nothing.
So, barely time for Charger chat.
I have 3 kids with a 4th one on the way. I'm like this, waking up for Charger chat. So, yeah.
No,
Craig, again, dude, thank you.
Dude. Great segment,
love you.
bud.
Appreciate everything you had to say. That was awesome. Time to move it on now to the next segment. It's another friend of ours. His name is Jason Reed, and he's over at The Bolt Beat.
Welcome back to another edition of The Bolt Beat. As always, I'm the acting editor over at boltbeat.com. Jason Reed, you can check out my work at boltbeat.com, over on Twitter at BB_Chargers, or my personal Twitter at Eat Your Reedies. Here we are, heading into week 2, first road game of the year. Got the Tennessee Titans on the slate. Coming off of a disappointing loss. There's no other way to spin it. I know the fan base is feeling down right now. Week 1 didn't go as expected. You know, a lot of Chargers media were saying this is an offense the Chargers solved last year. They're going to be able to do it again. They're healthier, this, that, or the other. I was included in that conversation. And of course, reality sets in, and the Chargers remind us that no matter as much as we think we know, we don't always know everything. And it's like that for every football team. So from a fan base perspective, I understand the frustration. I understand, not having faith in this team after a game like that. If you fall into that boat, as I've said time and time again, let's not overreact. They're 0-1. There's 16 more games to play. Last time they started 0-1, they went 12-4, and that was a very ugly week 1 game. So the season's not over. I also understand Brandon Staley hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt. The last 3 games they've played, dating back to week 18 last year, they've allowed, 80, 90 points over like 1,400 yards of offense. It hasn't been pretty. And I get that. He doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt to fix this defense. But there's still a lot of football left to play. And, there's a lot of time to round into shape and for things to take place. And I think when we look back at this Dolphins game at the end of the season, not just Charger fans, but NFL fans as a whole, we're all going to realize that the Dolphins were a pretty damn good football team. And I think we forgot heading into this matchup just how dynamic and explosive that offense was last year up until Tua got hurt. And then, the puzzle kind of got solved and they didn't adjust in time. And then Tua got hurt again. I think the Dolphins could win the AFC East, especially with the Aaron Rodgers injury. The Bills didn't really impress me on Monday Night Football. And as long as Tua stays healthy, this could be the Rams of 2019, 2018, whatever year it was, where their offense is just so damn explosive that they just blow teams by. Now, they don't have a very good defense, and that might hold them back in the long run, but I don't think losing by 2 to a potential team that could be in the AFC Championship game is the worst thing. Am I making excuses for the defense? Not at all. The defense, it was unacceptable. There were some really bad performances at an individual level, as well as the team preparation and schematics and everything. Didn't make a lot of sense. They went away from everything they did that worked last year. They did a lot of single coverage, a lot of, single high safeties, a lot of stuff that you seemingly would never want to do against the Dolphins. Now, Mike McDaniel did a great job of, tweaking things with the pre-snap motion and everything to get guys open. But the Chargers, the way they handled the game, it didn't make a lot of sense. So, I hope it's just something where we chalk it up and it's like, hey, Miami had an explosive offense. The Chargers got in their own head a little bit too much, overthought it, and didn't do what they should have done defensively, and they can move on. Again, Brandon Staley doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say the Chargers are going to turn it around and be a top 5 defense the rest of the year, because nothing they've done so far has proven that. But I don't think that it will be this bad. And maybe that's just me being a little bit too optimistic. I think there will be really bad games. There will be really bad moments. But when all the talent's on the field and everything, they should be able to be good enough. And, I feel like we've been saying that for 3 years, so maybe I'm just wrong there. But I do think that this game isn't going to be indicative of the whole season. It's going to be indicative of maybe the Chargers at their worst. And if they're at their worst and only losing by 2, that's probably a decent sign. Now, if we're talking big picture long term, it's hard to see the team like winning a Super Bowl with this. I hate even like bringing up the Super Bowl right now in week 2, especially after they lost of all things. But you kind of have to have a good defense, or at least a good enough defense to make a run, and this, that, or the other. But right now we're just focused on the regular season, actually getting to the dance, getting to the playoffs, having a chance to make a run. And the Chargers are going to have to figure something out. I think in the long run, it will be okay, and I'm rooting for it to be okay. I understand Charger fans being upset with Brandon Staley and, especially after the Jaguars game last year and wanting him to move on. But there's a lot of fans who are seemingly now rooting for him to fail, which doesn't make any sense to me, because if he fails, that means the Chargers failed. That means 2023 is a complete waste of the season. We should be rooting for him to succeed. We should be rooting for him to save his job, because that would mean they go 11-6, 12-5. They win a playoff game or 2, and then they build on something. I don't know. That's just how I look at it. I never really understand rooting against the head coach unless it's like a complete disaster, when they're 3-10 and you're hoping they don't make a run late in the year just to save his job, that kind of thing. But I don't understand it. Against the Titans, this is a perfect matchup for Staley's defense to get right. I mean, you look at the Titans offense, Ryan Tannehill looked like he might be the worst starting quarterback in the league this year. We saw Matt Ryan hit that regression cliff and fall straight off last year. That might be Ryan Tannehill. He looked really bad in that Saints game. Now, I mean, it's one game and the Saints have a pretty good defense, so we can't totally say that yet, but the signs are there for the huge regression cliff. And yes, the Titans, they do have a good rushing attack. They have Derrick Henry, and they're going to be relying on that. But it's not prime Derrick Henry anymore. I mean, he's still very, very, very good running back, but he's not prime Derrick Henry. And the Chargers have been better against the run. They improved as the year went along last year. They did well against the Dolphins. Granted, the Dolphins were just throwing all over them, so they didn't have to run the ball much. But doesn't feel like this will be the type of game where the Titans are going to be able to pick up every single first down running the ball. Yes, there's going to be moments where they're picking up 8-12 yards against the Chargers, but I think the Chargers are going to get in a lot of positions, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and force Ryan Tannehill to make a play. And hopefully that's where they're not torched athletically like they were against the Dolphins. They can actually make some plays on the football, on the quarterback. And, some of the things that are going to help that, I think Jasir Taylor should play a lot more this week. He's their best run defender in the slot. He should be starting in the slot. Pretty much any 1st and 2nd down, he should be in there, or 3rd and short. And then we should have Asante on one side, Michael Davis on the other side. J.C. Jackson, sprinkle him in, play him 45, 50% of the snaps. Look, he's coming off a ruptured, patellar tendon. He wasn't very good before he got hurt last year, and the Chargers shouldn't be rushing him into things, I don't think. So, limit his snap count, give Zont and give Davis a chance to succeed, give Jasir a chance to succeed in the slot. And I think this is a game where the defense can really turn it around and look better. Now they have to be able to do it against a good offense, but I think this can be a step in the right direction and kind of the type of game they need just from a confidence standpoint, because if they go into Tennessee and the Titans drop 30 points on them, even if they win, there's going to be even more question marks about the defense. And then suddenly you have the defense itself, questioning the head coach potentially, and that's not a position to be in. So even if it's a bad Titans offense and it's more of a bad offense than a good defense, it's still beneficial to hold the Titans to a relatively quiet game, because it could build some momentum, especially heading into week 3 against the Vikings team that will throw the ball all over the Chargers if they let them. As far as this week's betting picks on the Bolt Beat, last week we went 2-4. We lost the Chargers pick. We lost 2 of the props. I mean, the props I kind of expect. I shouldn't be counting them as full units just because you never really bet a full unit on a prop, especially the ones with the higher odds, but we're just going to go with that anyways. We did hit the Justin Herbert under with the passing total. I thought I nailed that, saying the Chargers were going to run the ball, establish the run. That's what Miami was going to give them. And that's kind of exactly what happened. The under comfortably cashed by like 90 yards. We also hit the Titans, ironically enough, as the dogs against the Saints. They lost, but they covered. We lost the Broncos. We picked the Broncos against the Raiders, and somehow the Raiders won. I still don't really understand that game. Even if I can go back in time, knowing what happened, I'd probably still make the same pick. So we went 2-4 last week. We're down 2.2 units. Again, unit can be whatever you're betting on your stuff. It could be $1, it could be $10, it could be $100, whatever the case is. So we're going to keep track as the year goes along. This week, again, to a refresher for those that might not have caught last week or forgot, we're going to pick one favorite, one underdog, and then we're going to make a Chargers pick either against the spread or the point total, and then we're going to do 3 Chargers-related props. Starting with the non-Chargers games, I'm going to go with my favorite. I call this like the stinky pick of the week, the cringe pick of the week. We got to workshop a name with this. This is a strategy I have employed in some betting pools I'm in. Not betting pools, but picks pools I'm in, where I look at the slate, I find the ugliest game on the slate where it's like, oh my gosh, no one should touch that. Like all the gamblers are looking at it like, that's disgusting. I'm not picking that either way. I go to it, and then I pick the opposite of what I like, because I've noticed with these stinky lines, it never goes the way that I think it'll go, or the popular consensus seems to think it'll go. I'm implementing the strategy this week. We're going to see if it's going to work in 2023, as it has worked very well in the past, I might add. We're going with the Houston Texans minus 1.5 against the Indianapolis Colts. Yep, it's ugly. I know. Anthony Richardson, explosive. They played the Jaguars close last week. It just seems like all signs are like, why are the Colts dogs? How is that possible? I think the Colts are a really bad football team. I think they played well week 1, rookie debut, all that stuff. I know Anthony Richardson got banged up at the end of the game against the Jaguars. I think Houston's well coached. That final score against Baltimore, it was pretty, didn't look close, but I thought they played them hard and they played them close. And, their quarterback is a rookie, and, being on a road as a rookie, and it's just hard. So we got 2 rookies. I like Anthony Richardson more than CJ Stroud, but I think the Texans are going to be able to kind of just put together a better team effort to win this game. And again, I don't actually think that. I think the Colts are going to win, but that's why I'm picking the Texans, because it's the stinky flip. So hopefully that's the way it goes. Maybe I'm talking myself into the Texans too much and I need to flip it. I don't know, but we're locking it in. Houston minus 1.5. Underdog, a team I love, maybe a little bit too much, not as a fan, but as a potential bettor, is the Green Bay Packers. I didn't pick it on the podcast last week, but I was all in on the Packers +1 against the Bears. Thought the Bears were overvalued. I think Jordan Love's actually going to be pretty good in this league. I don't think he'll be Justin Herbert levels good, but I think he'll be pretty good in this league. And he played well. The Bears defense was still terrible, and the Packers had a comfortable win. all that being said, they're still dogs in week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons. They're plus 1.5 at minus 114 odds. I'm hammering Green Bay in this game in real life. I might tease it up to 7.5. Look, I know the Falcons have been like the cute pick that everyone loves to pick from the NFC South, heading into this football season, because they got Bijan and they got Algier and Cordarrelle Patterson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Like they have all these weapons, but they have a quarterback who's probably one of the 2 or 3 worst starting quarterbacks in the league, and I don't fully buy into their defense. Yes, they beat the Panthers by 2-3 scores, but it's the Panthers. That might be the first overall pick in this year's draft, so let's not forget that. I think the Packers are a better team than the Falcons, and they're on the road. I don't think it'll matter much. I think the Packers are going to pull off this victory and kind of bring the Falcons back down to earth. I think weeks 2 to 4, you're trying to find those overvalued teams that the public really likes, that when we look at it back in week 18, we're going to go, how are the Falcons favored in week 2 when they went 4-13? Those are the kind of picks you kind of want to find this early in the season. I think this is one here, I'm hoping. My Chargers pick, I'm going to stay away from the spread. I don't want to jinx it. I feel like I jinxed it last week. I really do. Not going to jinx it this week. I'm going to go with a total pick. I'm going to pick under 45.5. I know that's controversial with how bad the defense looked, but at the end of the day, the Titans have a pretty good defense. As I mentioned, the offense isn't the best, and we saw these 2 teams play last year, and it was an absolute slugfest. It was like a slog of a game. It just battle the trenches, all that stuff. I think we see the same thing, and I think there's one of 2 ways this game goes personally. I think it's either a very close, like low-scoring game, and at that rate, and either team could win. It's 20-17, it's 23-20, it's 17-16, like the Titans game was last week, and that would be the under. And in that situation, that's the game the Titans want to play to win. They're not trying to win 28-24. So that's the game they want to play to win, which goes to the under. If that doesn't happen, then it'll probably be a Chargers blowout. I don't think they're scoring 40 points against the Titans, but if it's a Chargers blowout, then we're looking at 28-14 or 30-10 or something along those lines, and that would also be the under. So either way this game goes, it's either a close slugfest that either team could win, under, or it's a Chargers blowout that, unless the Titans get a garbage time touchdown at the very end, should also lead to the under. So I like under 45.5, even though the defense let up over 500 yards last week. My 3 props of the week. The first 2 are going to seemingly go against my under pick. I'm going Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Austin Eckler, has got an ankle injury. We don't know how much he's going to be able to suit up on Sunday. Joshua Kelly's great, but then, how much of a workload is he going to have? And then how is he going to do against one of the best run defenses in the sport? The Chargers are going to throw the ball a lot, I think, in this game. Derek Carr had over 300 yards passing last week. So this is a secondary you can throw on. I think Justin Herbert has his bigger game. I think when they're in the red zone, they're going to target the pass. They're going to target Parham. They're going to target someone else that I have on this, and he's going to finish with 2 or 3 passing touchdowns. I don't know if there's a rushing touchdown in this game. I'm going to be honest. And then to go on the Herbert thing, this minus 166 odds, by the way, to go off of the Herbert thing, I have Mike Williams anytime touchdown. I could see it already. It's either a deep bomb to Mike Williams, a 45-yard touchdown, or it's a quick slant to Williams. We know that Herbert loves throwing that quick slant to Williams. There's going to be pressure. The offensive line was great in week 1, but there's going to be some pressure. I think they're going to look to get the ball out quick, and Williams is going to benefit from that. I think Mike Williams finds the end zone after a quiet week 1 for his first touchdown at 2023. Plus 160. My last pick, kind of a dart throw, as is the last prop. It always is. It's always something in the plus 300 to 400 range. I'm going with the Titans' first drive ends in a field goal attempt. I think the Titans are going to script their first drive. They're going to script a well drive. They're going to make it easy for Tannehill. They're going to run the ball, run some misdirection stuff, give him some easy passes in the flat. That'll give them, some yak opportunities. They'll drive down the field. They'll get to the 30-yard line. The Chargers defense will button up, bend, don't break, force them to a field goal. They don't have to make the field goal for this bet to hit. It just has to be a field goal attempt. So Titans' first drive ends in a field goal attempt is plus 340. So that's a big line. So that could be a potential big hit for us and hopefully dig us out of the hole I've already digged us into, but I kind of blame the Chargers week 1 showing for that one. As always, that's my 6 picks of the week. Hopefully, if anyone's tailing me, they could be profitable, and hopefully the Chargers can turn it around 1-1 on the season, because if they can win this game, they have a winnable game against the Vikings, they have a winnable game against the Raiders, and then suddenly they could head into the bye week 3-1. Now, if they lose this game, that's when things can start to slide. We don't even want to get to that. There's been too many Charger seasons where they start 0-4 and then they win 9 of their next 10 or something, but they still miss the playoffs because they started so bad. We're going to avoid that. This is the start of the momentum. That was a preseason game. Starters didn't play week 1. That was the Chargers preseason game. Now they really matter. Let's rally, try to get 3 wins in a row, go into the bye 3-1, but you got to win the first one before you can even think about winning 3 in a row. So that's all I got for you this week. Let's get back to the Charger Chat, guys.
All right. Well, there you go. Mr. Jason Reed giving us some great betting lines.
Yeah.
I like that talk about what was it, under 45 or something like that, as far as like the total score, that either it's going to be close or the Chargers are just going to blow it out.
Yeah. And the blowout could be still under that amount.
Yeah.
With the amount of time. I feel like if that happens, the Chargers have the possession a lot, and then Tennessee's not going to get anything going. So.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I didn't watch the game, but I mean, both Craig and Jason talking about how bad Ryan Tannehill was.
Yeah.
He must be really bad if they're talking about it.
3 picks is a tough look.
Well, I think the coach even talked about it, and the Tannehill got interviewed about it. He just like, I just don't want to talk about it. He called us the San Diego Chargers again. He was so frazzled. Like, on to San Diego. Like, all right, dude, calm down.
Okay.
Idiot. How many concussions do you have? Calm down.
Yeah. What year is it? How many fingers?
So how many fingers do I have?
All right. Well, Jason, again, thank you, dude, for another awesome Bolt beat. Really appreciate it.
Good luck with your picks, Jason. Let's go.
Yeah. Good luck with those stinky picks. And then let's see. I think that's just about does it here for us at the Charger Chat. But before we go, we've got some Bolt predictions to make. So let's start it off here.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, one of these has to be right.
Hey, I got the rushing yards last week. I was close. I was over 170. Yeah, well, I missed a lot, but I went over 175, and that was pretty good.
The only one that mattered.
You shot with a shotgun in one of your pellets.
It was pretty bold. It was pretty bold. Yeah, I'm shooting with a BB gun here. I'm not working with firepower.
You had a mere flesh wound last week.
Yeah.
I need headshots.
You grazed it.
All right, here, I got a headshot for you. You want my headshot?
All right, 360 no
So
scope.
the defense is going to stop the Tennessee Titans a lot more than they did Miami Dolphins, which there will give us the opportunity for a few punt returns. Darius Davis is taking one to the house this week. It's going to happen.
Awesome.
Headshot. Final score, Chargers 27, Titans 16. How they get there, we'll see, but it's going to be 27.
16's a tough number to get to.
They did it. They did all threes last time. I think it's going to be one touchdown. They're going to kick a lot of 50-yard field goals.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Headshot.
All right. I'll go next. I have JC Jackson with a pick 6 is my prediction.
Let's go.
It just has.
I need that in my heart. I need that in my soul.
He needs it. We need it. We need something good from him. After listening to Reed, I'm a little bit worried about my pick. It sounds like if we get to 20, we're just going to smoke them. But I have us at 27-20, a nice, comfortable touchdown W.
I like it.
Nice. I've got Mike Williams over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Chargers winning 27-13.
All right.
27's high five.
I like Mike Williams over 100. He didn't get to do much last week.
I know. He needs this. He craves it. Give it to him. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Bolt predictions in the books. And that, I think, is going to do it for us here at Charger Chat. Folks, don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad. Any place.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.